Welcome to TEMS UNVEIL. It's Elia again, your host. Today we are having multi-marketing, which is Mr. Khan. But first, for those who doesn't know me, it's Elia Mpata, the author of three books. But there's something coming up. So if you don't know me, let me let you know who Elia Mpata is. So Elia is an author of one. There's a train coming, the book that was published in UK. The book is a poetry collection of so many poems that you would like to see. It basically tells you a story about my life as a young boy in Rustenburg from Bartley East. You will get all the poems that kind of describes who Eliam Pata is. Number two, it's a book published here in South Africa by Multi Marketing. That is my favorite book because it's published right here in South Africa in Durban by Multi Marketing by Mr. Khan. So it's one of the best books that I've published. So that one, I can describe it as one of those books that you get educational poems that teaches you how to become a self-loving person. If you have a low self-esteem, that book is for you. If you are somebody who likes Christian poems, that book is for you. If you are somebody who feels you need to have a personal growth and sometimes you feel low most of the time, take it from me. I'm one of those people who has had so many times feeling low in my life. And that I had so many inspirations when I was writing the book. So the book is the best for people who are having areas like that. So multi-marketing actually helped me do a third book, which is an anthology, where I had to bring my best and just write two special poems of my best with other authors, which is multi-marketing anthology 2022. So you can get that book so many platforms, which is one on www.mmstore.co.za. It's an ebook. And then internationally, you can get that book on amazon.com. And then, okay, the last one, today, which is my son's birthday, you have a release of a new anthology, which is the 2023 multi-marketing anthology. And on that book also, I am there. Get it in stores on the same platform as the previous anthology. So grab your copy on those forms. Thank you so much, Mr. Khan. Welcome to the show, Stems Unveil. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Elia. Thank you for having me on your show. And how are you?
I'm doing perfect. Man, you're looking great, I must say.
I always bring my best suits to these interviews.
Well, Mr. Khan, it's hard to introduce a man of your caliber on my show because you are many things to me. You are a mentor. You are my publisher. You, God, you're somebody who teaches me a lot of stuff, and you are the director of multi marketing. So, a brief intro of who Mr. Khan is in your own words for our viewers and the supporters of multi marketing and people who don't know who Mr. Khan is. Your stage.
Well, I think you summed it up perfectly. The director of multi-marketing, a publisher, mentor, friend. I'm an all-in-one person, but I really come from humble beginnings, a humble background. I'm very proud of my hometown of Overport here in Durban. And that's where I grew up, and that's where I basically started off writing. I was in the library from the age of 5, and from the age of 5 years old, before even going to school, I was writing stories. And but at 5 years old, you write childish ideas. But then, as
Yes,
obviously
yes.
as I got older, I started writing more mature things. And yeah, man, I've always, since a kid, there was always two things I always wanted to be. Number one was an author, which I've accomplished. And number two was a serial entrepreneur, which I am currently accomplishing with multi-marketing, because as I will explain in, as this interview progresses,
Yes.
multi-marketing is more than what meets the eye. But as a brief introduction to myself, that's who I am. I'm just a simple guy, just a regular guy, and I'm a very down-to-earth person. Any author that works with me knows I'm very hands-on. I'm very like approachable. You can get me any time of the day and night, more or less. So
Yeah.
yeah, in a nutshell,
I'm
Noshad
thinking about.
Khan is just one of you.
Okay, great. There's a thing you normally say, and well, I write poetry. There are homophones, or when people are writing in poetry. Uh, but the first time I saw you, there's a thing you used to say that you are no shotgun, no shotgun. Like I couldn't tell if you are saying you are no shotgun, as in a real gun, or you are no shot gun. Yes. Anyway, it's fine. I just liked that line on all of your interviews. Okay. As I write, people normally ask, do you do a research before you write? They were asking me as a writer, where do you get all this stuff that you write? And I always tell them, if I write, I have to be inspired by something. Something must happen before I write. So that's me. I don't write every day. I don't write every month. I only write if something inspires me to write. That directs my writing. For you, Mr. Khan, I know you are also a writer. I mean, you wrote something, and it's a book that is published already, which I'm not going to say the name of it. I'm not going to spoil it. What inspired to write as a child? What was, because you started at a very early age. What was the thing that was pushing you to write?
Well, actually, it was just, I don't know, really. Just going back to it, like, I remember reading books so much that I was enthralled. And then I'm next minute, I'm picking up a pen and I'm writing all over the place. I'm picking up till slips. I'm writing on exam pad papers, scribbling
Yes,
ideas, untidy handwriting. It was just whatever, it's similar to you, but the difference is whatever inspired me, whatever I was into at that point in time and would come in my head, I would just put it down on paper. And that's how I've always been with everything. Like, not just my first book, but even you mentioned the anthology 2023. I've got a short story that I put in there as well. That was just off my head. Like, something just came in my mind out of nowhere. I had this idea and I was like, damn, I got to put this down on paper. And that's what I did. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how ideas come to me, just out of nowhere.
That is an exclusive. People don't know that you are on the Astrology 2023. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. About writing. Oh God, people should go get the copy, because I'm thinking now, people only know that you published one, and it must have been long ago when you published. And now you are showing us that, okay, it's not between me. You know what I'm saying? And you are part of the anthology, and it's a glimpse of what you are writing, what you have in you. So I'm looking forward to see. And what people don't understand about writers is you already have the idea in your mind. So to write it out, it's not for you anymore. It's for somebody else to benefit from it. So thank you so much for putting your efforts to be part of the anthology. The next question that I have is, when you published your own book, what were the processes or different options, or were you aware at least of the different processes of publishing and different, like people would say, now there's an ebook, there's this, there, you can do audio, you can do ebooks, there's traditional, um, there's self-publishing. Are you aware of all these options when you wrote your first book? Because now you are your company is publishing books. How was it for
Well,
you?
when I was actually getting into the publishing, when I was actually getting into publishing the first time, because I was a writer wanting to be published, the ebook business wasn't as prevalent as it is today. And
Yeah,
I was not very aware because my only exposure to books was of basically two things. It was libraries, and I used to go to bookstores, but I never purchased books because, I grew up in a family that wasn't very privileged, say it that
mm,
way. So I wasn't afforded the ability to go and buy books. If I wanted books, I'd just go borrow them from the library and give them back. So that was my only experience with. I did not know about ebooks when I first got into. I mean, there were ebooks around, but they weren't so prevalent. Like not everybody was, getting into ebooks. It was mostly still physical print copies. So I wasn't very aware of the publishing industry, and I think that's why it took me that many years. I mean, from the time I finished writing Race Champ to the time it got published is a period of 8 years. So there's a long stretch of me going to different publishers, going through different mediums, encountering scammers, encountering people who stringed me along, a
yeah,
whole range of characters, pillar to post. I even went to the Publishers Association of South Africa, exhausted the entire catalog, only to hit a dead end. And when I pursued the self-publishing route, and when I got into publishing and realized, hey, I know how to publish A to Z now, I can actually assist others. That's when I became more informed about how the different publishing options are. And that's why I feel like I'm the best person right now to assist authors because whatever knowledge I have, I've gained it from self experience. So I've been in the trenches. I know how to navigate these waters. And that's why I
yeah.
call myself the shepherd for the holder of the pen. So, no, to answer your question, I didn't know then. However, now, through that experience of being through it, I'm more well informed. Yeah.
So it's the same, like the same idea of writing. When you write, you don't write what you don't know. You write what you already know. So now you don't do it for yourself. You do it for other people because the idea of writing it's something that you know. So you can just decide, I already know I'm not going to give it to anybody. Now you are doing this for somebody else to benefit from the idea that you already know. So I want people to understand multi-marketing to that level that everything that you are doing then not only for you because you can decide I will stay with the information that I have. So oh man, I like the idea of multi-marketing. And I still have a question, but I hope I will get time because we have limited time. Race Champ, when it finally published, what are the challenges that you had after publishing? Because I think this question is important for most of our authors, especially on the anthologies, people that are publishing throughout the world. I mean, not just in South Africa. There are challenges that authors are having. Some it's financial problems, some it's book launches, some it's a lot of factors. What can you say on that inspect or on that point?
Basically, after having my book published, that is for every author, after your book is published, the hardest part is actually post publication because now the hard work is not just on the publisher, but it's also on you as the author to market and promote your book so that people out there know about your book and the right people out there will actually go and buy your book. The hardest thing I experienced was the thing that all the authors are struggling with, and it's something that I've advised them and I'm coaching them and guiding them now in is marketing. You have to push your book out there. You have to constantly and regularly post about your book. I'm not saying post about it 24 hours a day, but at least 2 to 3 times a week. Go on your social medias. Social medias are free. You've got your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. That's a huge platform right now. TikTok is burning on the world like everybody's on TikTok. But Facebook
Yeah,
is still there. Instagram is still there. Those are the three biggest in my opinion. Plus you have things like YouTube. There are so many free mediums and platforms for you to just go out there, type it out, tell people, hey, my name is so and so. I'm in the book. For example, for myself, but I'm not going to do that because obviously
yes, yes,
I'm just a compliment in the book. But if I was
yes,
promoting ontology, I would be going on my Facebook and my Instagram being like, hey guys, it's me, Nosha Khan. You know me. I've got this great short story. It's in the multi-marketing anthology, just got dropped and released today. Head on over to the link. I've given everybody the links. It's all over social media. All you're gonna do
yes,
is copy
yes,
and paste
yes,
it into your post or
yeah,
share our post and then place the link into there as well. And then get people to go there. And then 3 times a week at least remind people, hey, don't forget my short story is in the anthology. Go and buy a copy. It's on Store. 130 Rand. If you want to know the price up front, there's 130 Rand. But if you go on the website, you'll see 130 Rand.
yes,
130
yes,
Rand is
yes,
not a lot.
yeah,
There's a book on the Store that's selling for 280 Rand. It's a 500
yeah,
page
yeah.
book.
I've seen it.
Compare that
Yes.
amount to 130 Rand for almost 20 local authors, some who are previously published, some who are previously undiscovered, and then you've got me in there, you've got Elia in there, you've got, other famous authors. I'm not going to mention them. You just have to see in the book for yourself. And authors who are in the previous anthology. It's just like a convergence of every poet and short story writer that is right now hot in South Africa in this book.
I
430
want,
Rand is not that much,
I want to
Just
keep, I
market
want
your
you to
book.
keep
It's
that
free.
idea because I have a question on that. I have a follow-up question on that. Mr. Khan, there is something about multi-marketing, and I want you to answer it now because this is interesting. Company is called multi-marketing. I thought it's going to be multi-marketing publishing. Instead, it starts with multi, then hyphen, marketing. Why that multi in the beginning? Why that?
Because we are multiple. And that is what I want people to understand. Multi marketing may have started off doing one thing completely. It wasn't even publishing that I started doing.
Yes,
When I
yes,
started multi marketing, I was designing websites and social media platforms for businesses and small to medium enterprises out there. Then, at the same time, doing that, now you got to understand, and this is what I want authors to understand. I was drawing money from what I was doing there in order to publish my book. So I was getting funds from an extra side hustle. Plus, I was selling Cape cookies, by the way, taking money from there, putting it in a jar, well, in a bank account, but you could say it was like a jar,
yes,
and then
yes.
using that money to publish myself. So I didn't say, oh, I have no funds, and I just sat back and did nothing. I thought about myself, hey, I have other talents. Let me use that. Oh, there's an opportunity to sell cookies. Okay, let me take that, combine the money. I've got a jar now of an exact amount that needed to publish, and I use that money to publish. That's how I got started. So that's how multi-marketing started. But then I published a book and I had authors coming up to me. Hey, you published a book. I know you. You're from Durban. Can you help me? I was like, sure, I'll help you. Then I launched multi-marketing publishing. Then I launched multi-marketing vlogs and YouTubers because I help other people with their YouTube channels and their vlogs. Then I launched business solutions. That's obviously the part where I was designing the websites and the logos and the business cards,
Yes.
and the marketing side, which is obviously the part where I assist with the actual marketing of businesses, books, whatever it is. And as multi-marketing is growing, there's more and more things coming on that you're actually going to unveil, but there's more and more other things that are going to be coming ahead. So multi-marketing is a holding company, and there's going to be multiple different subsidiaries under that main banner of multi-marketing. So there's a lot of things in the pipeline. People just got to stay tuned for.
I like the idea of that. Now, I saw something interesting on your website. Multi-meg. Now, that I saw it as a gift for South Africa, not just people from KZN or in Durban. Multi-megs. Tell us a little bit about multi-meg. Why multi-megs? It's like a
Well,
newsletter kind of a thing, but I want to know more about it. Why is it a gift for South Africans?
Well, number one, the multi-mag is absolutely free. We don't charge a cent. We put this thing together every single month. It's a monthly digital publication, which means number one, you don't have to leave your house to get it. You can just sit on your phone and download a copy onto your phone. Number two, the biggest one for all South Africans, it's free. It doesn't cost you a cent. It's like one of the very few products on the Store that's absolutely free of charge. And what is the point of it? The point of it is to give authors, number one, a platform via which they can promote their books. And number two, it's for readers out there in South Africa who want to know what the latest books are. So you're reaching the right target audience because these are people who now want to read books, who want to know what the latest book is. Plus, there are also other authors who may be inspired by seeing this author and reading their story about how they got published. That's why we include publishing stories in the featured book section. So every month we choose one book that gets the cover of the magazine. It gets the featured book spot. The author gets the featured author spot. Plus we put an excerpt of your book. Plus we put links of your book. That's 5 value things that we don't charge anyone for reading about. You're reaching maximum audience, getting maximum value as an author. So that's a gift to authors. And why I started it was actually 2 reasons. The first reason was I saw it as there's no real authors magazine in South Africa that everyone knows about and that's free to the public, that they can get their hands on anywhere, anytime. You walk into a mall, you're going to see magazines about property, you're going to see magazines about beauty. There's no magazine for authors. This is a magazine specifically aimed at authors and readers alike. And number two, it's also to give you value as an author because we also offer print media advertising and marketing. So before it was just we would approach your community newspapers, ask them for an article. Obviously, to place an ad is a lot of money, so we don't usually go that route. However, the multi-mag that changes because now you got an extra platform to advertise your book to get that extra exposure. So if you can't afford what the newspaper is charging you, you can definitely afford what we're charging you to place an ad in that multi-mag, and you're reaching the right audience because it's free and it's digital. There's no reason any person who's an author or who's a reader shouldn't be downloading this book because you can get it on your phone, number one. And number two, you're not charged anything for it.
Free of charge.
So that's what multi-mag is. Yeah.
Wow, that's perfect. And not just that, I'm exhausting you. I'm sorry. Tonight, tonight, TEMS Unveil is actually making sure that revealing everything that people don't know about multi-marketing and its services. So there is one other thing that is free at multi-marketing that I saw. It is the podcast. What are these podcasts about? I mean, what should people expect when they say, "Okay, fine, I want to look into these podcasts." What should they expect?
Now, the podcasts, like you said, are also free, absolutely free. You go into the store, you download them, they're on your phone, and it's free again. This podcast is not for everyone. It's only for the serious authors, the poets, the short story writers, whoever they are, who are serious about wanting to get published, right? So if you want information about editing and proofreading, if you want information about the multi-marketing store, just this last week, we released probably the most requested episode, which is the bookstore distribution episode. Everyone's been asking for it. In that, I do a reveal, a complete tell-all. No holds barred. I tell it like it is, and I shoot it from the hip, so that authors are fully informed of everything. And I think if there's one episode besides bookstore distribution that I think every single author watching this should go and get, it's episode number 2 of the podcast, where we dispel common myths and misconceptions. There's a lot of authors out there who, because of how South Africa and the publishing industry has been with all these scammers coming along, they're not sure anymore how the industry works. I mean, I've come across so many different requests that I decided, let me compile a list. And instead, I'm not going to mock anyone, but I'm trying to reform you to know that you need to be more informed about the industry you're in. So Episode number 2 of the podcast, absolutely free, digital download on MM Store. Go and get that episode because you're going to be so much more valuable. There's so many misconceptions I didn't know until I actually was liaising with other authors that they had about the business of publishing. So that episode right there is one of the most important. You need to go and get that episode on MM Store.
Well, Mr. Khan, thank you so much. There's one last thing before the conclusion of our interview tonight. It's one thing that touches my heart, and I know it's very clever. It's something that I deeply, TEMS poetry is part of multi-marketing, and it's one thing that I know deeply in my heart that it's South Africa has never given this opportunity to any of our authors to become part of something so great, an anthology. Tell us a little bit about why the anthologies are an advantage in South Africa, how people can benefit from it, and how can people become of the anthologies, and how often do we get to have an opportunity of being on the anthology?
So the multi-marketing anthology is an annual program. So we have it once a year, every single year since last year. 2022 was the first edition. The point behind it is I notice and I recognize that a lot of poets and short story writers have two issues. The number one issue is they don't have enough funds to fully publish a full book because you got to understand, to publish a full-length book, excuse me, to do the layout, the cover design, the typesetting, the editing, plus the printing, it costs thousands of rands. It just is that way because that's how it is, because you're using someone else's time, expertise, know-how and how to get things done, and the intellectual property of designing a cover. So it costs a lot of money. However, not a lot of the poets and authors can afford that. So what the multi-marketing anthology does, it lowers that cost. The second thing is a lot of the authors, poets and short story writers, some of them don't have enough poetry to compile a full-length book. Some of them come to me with 7 or 8 poems, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you cannot compile a full-length book costing you thousands of rands of
For
8
7
poems.
points, yeah.
It's not fair on you as a poet, first of all, and it doesn't make sense for a book to be compiled with just 8 poems. Nobody's going to buy that book. Even if it was for 8 rand, still no one's going to buy that book. So
Yes.
that is why I said to the authors and poets, you only have this amount of poetry. Great. Just send me 2 of them with a bio and a pic of yourself plus your social media links. That's all I need. Then what I do is I look at the best, only the best gets selected, and then we compile it into all the authors together. They pool their funds together in order to create this pool of funds. They create that pool of funds that they will then use to publish the book. All right. Excuse me. So what it does, it lowers the cost on you. Like last year was about, I think each author paid about $500. This year was about 600. So it's just a rise of 600 rand. Obviously, inflation, everything goes up. But every single author who contributes a small amount pulls up to the big amount that actually requires in order to get published. Now, we don't know that amount until we get to it, because we don't know until the end how many authors will actually qualify and go through. So that's why we can't give you an upfront cost until we've collated and compiled these amount of authors. We put them in a book. This is how much it's going to cost us for layout, cover design, typesetting, printing. Then we know, okay, then we got to send you each one copy, publishing it online. This is our total cost. We then break it down. We divide it evenly among the authors. Sometimes it's not even an even amount. We are subsidizing from our side. So say, for example, like this year was about, I think, 620 rand. We subsidized 20 rand of each author. You just paid 600 rand. As it's full total amount that's fair on the author, the poet, the short story writer, pooling your money together and publishing a book that you have a part of. And because you are a part of that, you have a right to say, I can earn royalties. So for your marketing effort that I mentioned earlier, you have to market, For every copy that's sold, you then get a piece of the royalty back for each copy that's sold. That's why a lot of authors, they cannot get mad when they say they didn't get any royalties. Have you been marketing your book? Have you been promoting it regularly? If you haven't, and you haven't gotten any buyers or traffic to the website to buy a copy of the book, you can't complain that you haven't gotten any royalties. So that is the point of the anthology. It's to give authors and poets a chance to get published, showcased globally, not just locally, but globally at a reduced cost, and you earn money back. You get return on investment as long as you're marketing the book. That is what the anthology was based on.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's, for example, if it's 12 authors and they are all marketing, the the outcome, it should be a lot so that everyone get royalties at a high rate if 12 people are marketing, and not just 12 people are marketing. Multi-marketing has Store and the website. So that on its own is a boost from, it's a plus from the 12 people plus the website that is always there. So I think the website and the 12 people, the anthology is an idea that can ideally work if everyone is doing their part. I like the idea, and I think it's going to benefit people in a long run. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on TEMS Unveil tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Khan. Have a great day further. It was great having you again. I hope one of these days we are going to have you again on our, on our special channel. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.